Just 40 miles northwest of downtown Milwaukee, among the rolling hills and rural landscape where life seems to slow down, sits the small town of Hartford, Wisconsin. The history of this city is common to many cities throughout the country. Pioneers moving west, settling down where life offered them the greatest possibilities, creating farms, roads, towns, and if you were lucky enough, maybe the railroad came through. Hartford was lucky. It was on the main railroad line that ran from Minneapolis to Chicago, but it was lucky for another reason. In 1906, the Kissel family, who had immigrated from Germany decades before, were building homes in Hartford. They were running a successful farm implement business on the edge of town, but more importantly, they would be known for building cars. And that feat would distinguish Hartford in the history of automobile manufacturing and in the state of Wisconsin for the next 25 years.
I grew up in the son of W. Kissel and grandson of W.L.
Grandson of William L. Kissel, one of the founders of the Kissel Car Company and a prominent man in the history of Hartford. Surely to a 9-year-old boy on the playground, that would be the stuff bragging rights are made of. But the truth is, while Doug Kissel may have been born and raised in Hartford, he didn't hear his family talk much about the Kissel car legacy. In fact, he had never seen one and didn't think there were any that existed.
As a kid, there was no museum, there was no information on the cars other than what you might see a plaque. Eventually they did put a plaque up here in town to at least indicate that this was the home of the Kissel car. But there were no cars, there was nothing else beyond that.
The appreciation of this small town's history was virtually going unnoticed by so many, not to mention the seeming rise and fall of Wisconsin's own role in automotive history. And that made Dale Anderson take action.
What made sense to me is that Hartford built automobiles, the Kissel car from 1906 through 1931. And that was the second longest lived car company in the state of Wisconsin, and it just made sense that we should try to create a museum as a draw to Hartford.
And create a museum he did. With a modest sum of $1,700, he started the back-breaking work of cleaning out the old cannery, selling the tons of scrap metal left inside, and renting out excess space to local businesses for warehousing when he needed to. But in time, his labor finally gave birth to the Wisconsin Automotive Museum.
When I first opened up 21 years ago, I started with 46 cars on one floor, and that same year I had to expand to add another 10 cars. And then there were several other expansions up until what we are now, which is 2 floors, and there's 75,000 square feet of space. The oldest car here is a 1902 Jeffrey, and Jeffrey started in Chicago and then moved to Kenosha. And then in about 1917 or so, Charlie Nash bought the company out, and that was the beginning of Nash. And so we have a good Nash collection.
The collection doesn't stop with Nash, and neither does Dale. He knows the history trapped in these cars, and walking these aisles of the past, he's only too eager to reconstruct their life of former days.
The Lincoln was formerly owned by the president of the Tangiers Lipstick Company, and he gave it to his wife as a present. This one, as far as we can determine, was used by the Broadmoor Hotel at Pikes Peak in Colorado. 1950 Kaiser. Nobody had thought about hatchbacks until Kaiser came out with it. You'll note that there's 4 doors, 2 on each side, but the back doors don't work because it's a hatchback. And this 29 Plymouth has only had 2 owners. That was originally sold right here in Hartford. This, of course, is the famous DeLorean. You know, it's stainless steel, but boy, is it hard to clean. You can't use much on it because of the, you know, when they do stainless steel, it's got a grain. And if you cross grain it with anything, you'll mess up the grain. So about the only thing you can use to clean it with is Windex. And then we've got our third rock from the Sun car. This was used in the TV show. A lot of people don't remember the TV show anymore, but I don't know, I used to watch it.
And just what other prestigious cars are on display in this museum?
As far as name cars, no, I don't have any name cars. And another thing that I do as far as my philosophy of what cars should be on display, I try to have cars that people remember. You know, there's lots of people that say, oh, do you have a Duesenberg or an Auburn or a Cord or some of those big names? No, I don't have any of those because most of the people that come in here didn't hear them, never heard of them anyhow, so they don't really care if they see them, but they come and see, they see Dad's car, they see Grandpa's car, they see their first car that they had in high school, and so it's, you know, we're in the memory business, and so I'm trying to let people relive their own memories by having things that were familiar to themselves.
It's memories that other people are willing to donate that makes the museum more than just a collection of cars and trinkets. It's a way of holding on to the things we love and embracing the things we are and sharing the things we never want to lose.
Well, when it comes to the donation of cars, there's several reasons why a person would want to donate. One is that they're really, really interested in the museum as a project and would like to contribute to the museum project by donating a car. Some people donate cash, some people donate cars. Like I've got a one Kissel here, that was donated to us in the name of their father, and it's sort of a tribute to their father. I have a couple, and one is a tribute to the son. It was donated in their names. And as far as those that are on loan, that is another matter. Sometimes it's, for them, purely a matter of storage. Sometimes it's a matter of a nice, safe place to keep their car, and sometimes they really, really want to share their car with other people, knowing that it's going to be secured and be kept clean and warm and dry.
There are 100 cars on display here. Some of them were already mature when the Depression was overwhelming the country. And then there's a few that barely have enough years on them to vote. There's hot rods next to family cars, trucks next to convertibles, and big cars next to small ones. Sometimes the cars are small enough to fit in the hand of a child.
This was an interesting collection of toy cars. It was one man's collection. The last thing he did, he brought in his first 5 or 6 toys that he had, and he kind of brought them in, and you could just see a tear in his eye because this was the last of his collection. But there's about 150 vehicles. And it's not that any of are worth, that lots and lots of money. It's just the fact that it was his personal collection.